Okay, so here's how it's basically going to go down. Brad here is actually going to be talking about his role over there at Verizon as one of the director of product. Brad was actually Product Jim 2020.
Funny. Yeah, which is a long time ago now, which is weird because it feels like last year, but yep.
Yeah, Product Gym 2020 during COVID era,
Hmm.
which I could tell you was a way crazier time than what we are going through right now, even though I think a lot of people are feeling a little bit down right now. But he'll actually tell you his transition in there and then also how he is using AI agents to improve customer experience. On top of that, just to let everybody know, we have a few other trainings that are actually coming up. Let me go ahead and show y'all right now. So coming up right now, we have. Oh, I'm going to share my own screen. Give me a second here. Does everybody see my screen now? Yeah. I enabled chat. Can everybody make sure that chat's actually working? Okay.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay, very cool. So we have a training that's actually coming up, how I landed a product manager job in 3 months from saturated job market to landing a product manager role. That's actually Andy right there. We'll have him actually doing this in, I think he's actually not next week, but the following week. And then after that, we also have Kai, who is hosting next Saturday. Kaiser Chan, my brother from Hong Kong. Actually, no, we joke around about that, but he's not my actual brother. How I landed a product manager job in 4 months from Canada. So, for all of you champs that think the US product manager market is bad, the US product manager market looks like freaking Ritz-Carlton compared to what's going on right now in Canada, right? They're getting butchered. So, if he can do it in 4 months, all y'all can go out there and do it in 4 months too. Something else I want to go out there and announce is we'll have another testimonial dropping in about, I think, if not tonight, when my assistant can get onto it, it's going to be tomorrow morning. How I landed an AWS product manager job, but just in the last 2 days alone, we showed you how I landed a product manager job in 4 months, how I landed a product manager job in 3 months, and then how I landed a product manager job with 11 jobs as a side project. The common themes here are going to be very, very, very succinct. And there's a reason why we recorded a testimonial, but all three champs are coming back live to go ahead and just talk to you guys. Know the market right now is feeling wildly depressed. You guys really shouldn't be. All you guys need to do is up the volume of applications, which we're here for. It's ultimately a numbers game. Number two is having those side projects ready to go out there and present on the interview so you can show something. And then finally, it's just following up. Recruiters, I came from a recruiting background, are notoriously bad at what they do. You just got to go out there, make some moves, and things are going to go out there and happen. So, without further ado, and then we'll also go ahead and do live training with, we'll also go ahead and do a live Q&A with Brad afterwards. But with that said, Brad, you mind if I show everybody your LinkedIn?
Sure.
Okay. So let me just go ahead and actually pull that up real quick, right? I love the backdrop photo of you, by the way, man. It's
Yeah, I
amazing.
mean that was your advice. Get a picture of you with a microphone, and it's good advice.
It helps, right? It puts you in an authority figure. But Brad is actually you transitioned into product management over there at Verizon. You stayed
Yep.
there for 4 years and 11 months. I think a lot of the people that we help land jobs for, a lot of them actually don't really take the time to work on their promotion track. So, why don't you tell everybody here a little bit about your background? Like, what was it like before you made a transition into product management? What were some of the struggles and how we were able to help out?
Yeah, totally. So I ran a business. Well, I still run this business on the side, but run a company called Remark Creative that produces and monetizes e-learning courses for businesses and medical institutions. So that's everything from curriculum design, production, implementation, and integration into LMS, which is learning management software, and then monetization strategies. And I did that for most of the 20 teens up until 2020, at which point I was a little burnt out running my own business. And somebody from Product Gym found me on LinkedIn, and it was I had done a coding boot camp, but that was just like, here's how you code a thing, and had really no aspects of like how to actually get a job. And so I really appreciated the Product Gym approach of like, here's all the vocabulary and things that you need to know about product management, but it's also like, here's how to actually get a job in product management and like translating your experience into product terms because I'd started my career in production in like video. And so I call product management producing for tech. And a lot of it is really just finding ways to translate things that you did into terms that people use in tech. And that was a really helpful reframing. So I did that in 2020. I mean, I will say I started applying in like January of 2021 and I was onboarded by April of 2021 and started as a product manager at Verizon on the calling plan change flow. So that's for existing customers and web and app who want to change their plan, step up, step down. I worked on that in both like we have what we call CRO, which is like just like the chief revenue officer led projects, and then we have ACTs, which are agile core teams. And so it was a lot of like major initiatives and then just like continuous CX improvements. And I worked on that. I built the existing customer flow for my plan for any Verizon customers here who've got any perks. I built that. And then based on the success of that in like a year and a half ago, we actually 2024 I overshot the business case for my product by the business case was for $2 million and we hit $5 million for just that product alone, which was how I got this promotion. And now I work on the value side of things, which is the prepaid brands, slinging burners, as my friends like to call it. So we I work on a number of brands now, including Total Wireless, Visible, Straight Talk, and as associate director of product strategy or of CX strategy, we work on like new partnerships and other products that we are selling and offering, and then working with the CX teams, the dev teams, design, everybody, all the classic stakeholders, and just like bringing those things to market and being that Sherpa.
I remember doing your offer call and
Mhm.
actually crazy enough coming full circle back in April 2021 I actually did it at James's house in Seoul.
Yeah. Nice.
I'm not even joking. I have that calendar invite.
Wow.
uh I like what do so you're working right now on like CX product management, something that people don't really talk about a whole lot.
Mhm.
And congratulations when you
Thank you.
do overshoot, you bring in 5 million and the target is 2 million. Yeah, you fucking hell yeah, you're gonna get a promotion, right? Like, uh, what do you feel like some of your advantages? Because I feel like your some of your advantages was like being your own business owner before
Mhm.
going into product management. It's just like um we had somebody on my team had originally reached out to you on LinkedIn was probably like, hey, are you interested in enrolling in a product management program, right? We
Yeah.
actually have a lot of students that are part of the program right now that's just like, is it cool for me to reach out for them on LinkedIn and like following up with them? Because you know when you're running your own business, they say, nobody chases the attract, but like it's a cardio game.
Hmm.
What do you have to say to like the folks that are just like, hey, should I reach out to them? What if I don't have all the experience and like everything else?
I mean, yeah, it's so funny. Like, actually, I feel like James said this when I went to whatever that event was I went to at
Stout?
no, the one before that
Oh,
that you guys were hosting.
the growth product management thing.
Yeah, yeah. You made a really interesting point, James, that was like your first sale is always going to be a lie. Like if you don't have a portfolio, if you haven't done this thing, like you always are going to have to kind of like come up with what that first sale is going to be based on just what you can talk your way into and like what you can convince people that you can do. And I actually really liked that idea. I mean, with LinkedIn and just like cold outreach online, there's really nothing to lose. Like at a certain, it's you know, it. I can understand feeling a little bit more guarded about rejection in person, and like even that, you shouldn't have any kind of hesitation about just like reaching out. But I just feel like um, there's really nothing to lose, even if you don't have everything that the job description asks for. Like here, I mean, honestly, how I got this Verizon job in the first place, it wasn't because of my background or my resume or anything. It was one 30-minute call with the hiring manager, and the like, I gave my spiel, we did the whole thing, and her question was like, you know, write the user stories for a website that sells candy. And I started doing it, and I was like, and I stopped myself. I was like, all right, as a customer who likes candy, I want to blah, blah, blah. And then I stopped myself. I was like, no, you know what? That's boring. What if it was more of a like chat, like a quiz style thing, blah, blah, blah. And I just started kind of like riffing. And it was funny because I saw her eyes light up and she was like, okay, cool. Like this guy has ideas and like is interesting. And that was all it took. Like it wasn't even it had nothing to do. Obviously, I needed to do everything to get into that conversation, but once I was in the conversation, it was really about like, does this guy have good ideas? Can I work with him? And that was what got me over the line.
Yeah. I want to go out there and bring this to everybody's attention because I know tonight's event is about AI agents to improve customer experience. But when the most important thing is actually thinking from the perspective of the customer.
Hmm.
Clearly Brad here was given a revenue target of 2 million and then he overshot it, got 5 million. Now he is in a position where he's a director of product at Verizon who is, you know, fully capable of hiring or like referring anybody that's actually on this call, granted that your resume is like decent, right? But when you're thinking about the customer, like you just win, and I think there's very few product managers that actually understand the customer's pain points, that can actually think like a human being, is actually worried about
Yeah.
being laid off in this market.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
fact, on the inverse, they're actually bringing in an excess of
Yeah.
cash for the company. Yeah, James, you want to add
Yeah.
to that?
No, no, absolutely. I think I'm pretty sure. First point I want to make is I'm pretty sure everybody here is more interested in what we're talking about now in terms of how to land a job than how do you like leverage AI for CX. By all means, feel free to keep me honest there, attendees. But two, to Brad's point, my first job that I got at Prolific, right, wasn't because of my failed startup experience, wasn't my finance background. It's the head of iOS development. This was a mobile first agency, right? Had a bunch of YouTube videos up. And I happened to put in some work and make sure that I knew who my customer was or my interviewer was that day. I did my background. I tried to figure out what they like, what they didn't like what are they interested in, right? And I came across a couple of his videos and I referenced those videos in the interview. And that was what ultimately landed me the job because I was able to resonate in a very organic, real way. He gave me these bug eyes and said, "You watched my video?" He was French, right? He's still like leading like the iOS charge, right? And obviously he had a lot of sway at a mobile first agency, but it really wasn't anything about my experience. It was the fact that I didn't forget that who I'm talking to was another person, I put in the work, I put in, just that much more interest into who I'm speaking to. And it was that little thing that ultimately landed me my first product job, right? My first actual product job. So definitely want to add to Brad's point. It's like you don't know what the kicker is going to be, but don't forget it's just another person, right?
Yeah,
Um,
and I think on top of that too, like especially where I'm at now, like as I've grown in my career, I, I was never a technical person to begin with. I've gotten further and further from any kind of code, and like for me, my strength, what I bring to the table is the storytelling, the creativity. It's much more of the like human element and that like customer empathy. That's what they hire me for. It's not like I understand some code, but that's not like I've got developers. They don't need me to have all that technical knowledge. What they need is for me to have the ideas.
Could not stress this enough. Uh, yeah. And I think like customer experience is just so important right now because we actually do have a job board where we scrape up all of the product manager referrals. And I could basically show y'all right now, actually, give me a second, is the companies that are actually hiring for this is actually all the customer success roles that we actually have as a referral. And we got the product management ones right here too. And then of course we have the tech sales ones. Like we're talking about customer experience right now. The companies that are hiring for the most customer success managers, they actually have everybody seeing this Airtable board right now? Sometimes I show the wrong monitor. Okay. Like the companies that hire for the most customer success managers also hire for the most product managers because you have a proven product, proven pricing, and you want to get these people on board. So like, when we're actually shifting the conversation to something more technical, um, AI agents could never. I talked to so many directors and VPs of customer success, and they also tell me like AI agents can help customer success managers enhance, the customer experience, but it can never replace it because I don't think anybody here when our Chase Sapphire card, right, is not working. Like we enjoy talking to like an automated operator or like a chatbot. Like you want like an actual human being. So I had like a few pings where it's just like, is AI agents like they're gonna go ahead and replace salespeople? Like if AI agents can go ahead and replace salespeople, my team would actually be very happy about that because we get so many calls from people like, how do you get a product manager job? But we would love to have AI avatars talk to all of y'all. But the reality is, you're probably still going to want to go out there and talk to another human being.
I mean,
So
that's always me on the phone with Chase Sapphire yelling, human, human, person,
operator.
every time. Yep.
representative. I've been
Yep.
screaming at the top of your lungs.
100%, yo. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually talk about the more human, the more technical side of the business right now is. So you're currently the director over there at not Chase, Verizon.
Mhm.
You have moved up a total of, I think I'm counting up 4 times since you've been there.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah. Started as a contractor, then as a product manager, then senior manager, and now associate director.
It's the other thing too, you guys got to play the human game if you guys want to move up. Because when I was a recruiter, I would always get so many people. Um, and it's usually like somebody that's like in the extended friend circle or somebody that one of my friends is dating. Is like, I'm like playing that game. It's like, you gotta play the game if you want to get promoted. They're a customer too, right?
Hmm.
Um, at what point did you guys realize you guys should have implement like are you guys implementing AI agents into the customer experience? And then like are you guys building these AI agents internally or are you guys like onboarding things like Manus? Like tell me a little bit more about that.
So I've got a little bit of that in this presentation. Somebody sold somebody high up on some agentic, and it's funny, like I don't have the best, like I'm not gonna come in here and be like, this thing solved all of our problems. Like now I don't have to work anymore because blah blah. Like they sold some leadership on this concept of agentic. And as far as I'm concerned, it is not very successful. The MVP that they launched, um, they sold it on this concept of like, oh yeah, agentic AI, this is the future, buzzword, buzzword. And somehow the MVP got launched without me or my team, first of all. And like it seems like they just built it independently. What they did was they didn't incorporate promos into the MVP, which on the brand that like on Total Wireless, 98% of sales are promo driven for phones. Like nobody's paying full price on this brand for a phone. And so they built this thing and everybody took the off ramp because it wasn't built properly. The requirements weren't there and it was trash. That was when they brought in my team to try and fix it. And we implemented better requirements. We started incorporating promos, which was like, again, to me, that's a no-brainer. But like to all the people that were involved in the process getting up to that point, nobody thought of it. Nobody looked at the very clear and obvious data and said, maybe we should lead with promos. Um, so we implemented that, but even still, at an enterprise level, agentic has very it has a lot of limitations because we've got legal, we've got security, we've got privacy. Like there are all of these stakeholders that don't fuck around and like aren't going to allow this agent to, you know, do the kinds of things that I can get away with on like automating my sales flow online. Like for my personal company, when we implemented it on Total, right now what we have, they call it agentic. It was billed and sold for an absurd amount of money as agentic, but it's just a fancy chatbot with like a conversational voice layer. Like that's all it really is, if I'm being honest. So I think that at an enterprise level, you really have to consider all of these other elements that, you know, you can't get wrong. Like, and this was something that is a part of this presentation. Like, if you have reputational and financial risks, you have to take those very seriously because the robot doesn't care. Like, that agent is going to do whatever it thinks you want, and it's not going to consider any of the other implications. And so, like, you have to put those guardrails in place. And because of that, we had to limit the functionality very seriously, so that it can't just go off and do all kinds of stuff. Like, it can only do it basically as a shopping assistant, it can take you to the PDP, the product details page for what you ask for, and it can't do anything beyond that. And that was because we had to limit what it was capable of doing.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like how like deeply integrated into like your actual support systems, like
Hmm.
to ultimately getting the conversion, right, which is the sale.
Hmm.
Um, I actually just converted to Verizon. I know we spoke about this and the
Welcome.
outage the other day.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a great time for that.
Ironically enough, like 2 weeks after I shipped my entire family of like six phones from T-Mobile, right? But it was an offer, right? It was free
Hmm.
iPhones across the board.
Hmm.
Um, and the fact that like for a fact that's like a board member or like a C-suite friend, right? That
Yep.
sold them on the agentic
Yep.
product. But
Yep.
the fact that like they were willing to implement without even setting those guardrails in place tells you that, and even at the enterprise, while it may be some grift, like they are trying to push for it though, right? To play the other side, like there are
Yep.
limitations, there are rails that you need to consider, but like they were anxious enough to put this to market that they didn't put those like safety
Yeah.
guardrails in place, which is kind of surprising and alarming, but also telling, right?
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, that was a big part of what got me interested in learning more about these agentic tools for myself was like, you know, there's always something to be said for what's just a buzzword and what's an actual valuable tool. In this case, it's had medium amounts of success, but I don't think that it like revolutionized our sales flow in any kind of meaningful way.
Yeah, it doesn't take a whole lot when it's not your money to just sell a higher up on an
Yep.
idea, and like everybody gets, I don't care like what freaking MBA they have. It doesn't take a whole lot of them to get greedy. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, so What's your t like? Are you guys still using AI agents to improve customer experience, or
Well, so I mean, I can show you what it is, and I can
please?
like,
I think everybody would be very interested in seeing it.
yeah. Um, you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Total Wireless. Uh, this is the shopping assistant, which is in beta, which has to have all of these, uh, terms and conditions that make you recognize like this is a robot that's going to get stuff wrong. Um, so let's say I want a phone. I mean, again, and this is, I've brought these gripes to the team and like we're working on it, but it's still I this it's funny that I'm teaching this because this thing has been a huge pain in my ass. But it's like large screen, ample storage. No, that's I want a good camera. Takes a sec, and then what's it gonna give me? This whole long blurb that I'm not really gonna read. And
By the way,
then
have you guys only implemented this on the like the supplemental brands, not on like the hero brand yet? Is it just
um
on Total and
I
like
mean,
the
because I've been working on value, so I don't know. I actually when I go into the My Verizon app, I do know that they have an assistant that I think is better. But yeah, so I said Android, it found these results for me. So what it did was refreshed the product listing page PLP, but all it did was like add Android as a filter. Um, and like the thing that really bothers me is like, let's see if it's going to take me to that page or if it's still not able to. Yeah, so it shows this here, and then we don't have the products you're looking for. I said A16. I'm looking at an A16 right here. So like these are the things that really like I'm a bit of a skeptic when it comes to this stuff. Um like I've got my presentation about like more of the agentic tools that I use and how I use them. But like at an enterprise level, it doesn't seem we have all the products you're looking for. Related questions: smartphones, 5G smartphones. Like that wasn't related. So these are things that I have been fighting the team, but like in a giant corporation like Verizon, most of my job is dealing with stakeholders and budgets that like are fighting against me anytime I try to fix something. Um, so these are the things that are like a real okay, so now you know. Um, yeah, these are parts of the job that I feel like aren't really discussed. Like obviously we get into a lot of the how to do stuff, but so much of what I do on a day-to-day is stakeholder management and like just limitations and constraints and just like having to make those trade-offs and figure out like how to get the best thing out of, the least amount of money.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And there we go, folks.
Yeah.
We are currently at 6:34. What questions do y'all have for Brad?
Brad, you're hiring?
We were hiring and then we just went on a hiring freeze. We had the big layoffs the end of last year, which was brutal. I think they let go 13,000 people or something crazy. Yeah, it was rough. Luckily, my team made it through and we actually got it was unfortunately a good thing for me and my team, but like that was because we took over some products and projects from other people. So it was, yeah,
Wow.
it's tough out
These
there, but
these
I do think this
no.
year our team is hopefully going to grow a little bit more.
they always follow these huge layoffs with like a quick hire because they always overcut, right?
Yep. Yep.
And they're slicing not strategically, but like very aggressively, and they
Mhm.
find themselves like understaffed or losing resources in the wrong places. And so I've always seen like a pretty quick hiring follow up to these like massive cuts. And just so you guys know, Verizon had 120,000 employees, and so
Yeah.
there's like
So
a I
it's
think a
yeah.
10% cut. Like
Yeah, I know a lot of you probably don't like to hear this, but like it's hilarious that James here is a product manager at Capital One. And when Capital One did their layoffs, we had a lot of people enroll from Capital One. And then the craziest thing is about 2.5 weeks later, you started seeing all these referrals from Capital One. James was actually one of the people that got hired at Capital One. So um, mental toughness and resilience is not exactly like an attribute for American corporate leadership. I actually saw like they're like some Japanese CEO dropped his annual salary to 90,000, so they didn't have to lay off anybody. I think it was like Toyota, and I was like, yeah, you ain't gonna get that shit out of
We
here.
don't do that here.
The first sign of flicker is like lay them off. Yeah, 100%. So, that was a great first question. Champs, I mean, we actually have some guests that are actually on the call right now. I don't understand why our guests here, we got Ashlyn on the call right now. Crystal's on the call right now from LA. I'm going to be calling you guys out. We have Prob out there in Connecticut. Let's Prob, are you there, buddy? On the mic. Okay, great. I'm gonna call on Ashlyn next. Prob, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, man. Ask Brad a question. I mean, you're researching on the internet. You might as well ask the guy that's like here. Questions.
Yeah, I guess like one question would be like right now the position you're in, how much of I guess direction do you have or control do you have in terms of the execution on your end when you're building out these, systems and apps and whatnot?
I mean, so I'm as an associate director, there's still, I've got a senior director above me, a VP above her, and then the president above him. And so I have a lot of input. I would say a lot of what I do is negotiating, both managing up and down, and like making those compromises and like doing what I can to get the best experience with those constraints. So much of like, this year we've been we're doing what they call capital light, which means do it as cheaply as possible, which I'm sure is we're not the only ones doing that. Um,
What?
but a lot of it is really just negotiating and compromising and like you know, what I try to bring to the table as much as possible is like giving that direction and that feedback and like bringing those ideas to the table. But at the end of the day, I got a boss who's got a boss who's got a boss. So like, you
Yeah.
know,
Uh, hey, Prob, I'd love to understand why you're asking that question, right?
yeah.
Like, are you from like a startup world where you got to make unilateral decisions? So like you are the reason that something works and doesn't work, right? For example, but I'd love to just understand like where you're coming from with that question because I had an answer similar to Brad's, but curious what like motivated you to ask.
Just curious how I guess the chain of command works, or like how much at what level um like the contribution is, right? Because
Yep,
it may seem like yeah, I mean, yeah, just like that. Just curious actually, because I have no idea like how that kind of part
sure.
works. Because the more higher up you are, you're kind of involved in multiple projects. So you may not, understand, or you may not have the bandwidth to drive these things forward.
Mhm.
But so just trying
Yep,
to understand, what's like I guess, what's generating the alpha for these,
for sure.
tools.
Um, I think it's a combination of both, right? Like I'm also at Enterprise, right? Similar size organization at Capital One. In my case, though, the original founder of Capital One is still at the helm. He does every year a full week of him just standing on stage talking to the entire organization for 8 hours a day. So
Yeah.
he's uber involved in the strategy. There's a ton of top-down initiatives, right? But I still own my services, right? So I own a combination of three different services on the acquisitions and decisioning for the card business. And so Richard Fairbanks, the CEO and founder, is not telling me what I need to do in my service, right? He is giving guidance on where the platform and the organization needs to go. And so I do think it's a combination of like getting high level direction, right, based on insights that are gathered by our teams of analysts, right? Like the luxury of having an enterprise of this size is that you have dedicated, committed teams going out and getting the insights, right? Where I've been a bit frustrated, candidly, is that I feel too distant from those analytics and insights at times, right? Why do I have to go through hurdles to get the metrics on my service from a different team, right? And so I think it's a real like balance depending on where you are. I'd say it's probably a combination of what you heard from myself and Brad at most enterprises. There is some top down. You're dealing with bosses, but at the same time, you are given some purview and freedom to drive your domain, right?
Yeah.
And Brad's mentioned like he was like responsible enough for the uptick in that revenue on that project where they felt the need to give him a promotion, right? And so now if you're at like a 50-man startup, like nobody's telling you what to do. They're praying that you do the right thing, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it really depends on where you land, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's really helpful. Thank you.
no problem.
Yeah. Also, so real quick, I did put together a deck for this that I just wanted to go into a little bit about agentic, what it is, couple of do's and don'ts. So I'll run through this for you guys. Let's see. All right.
Nice design.
So this is really just meant to be an introduction to these tools. If you don't know what they are, this is not an in-depth technical walkthrough of like how to use these things. The good news is with these tools, like they can teach you how to use them like as part of the tools. Like that's the craziest thing about AI. So really what I want you to take away from this presentation is just like feeling empowered to go out and like employ these things in your own workflow. Um, I'm still learning a lot of the automation stuff myself. I'm trying to find creative ways to integrate it into my everyday work, both I mean, we have Gemini at Verizon, so that's actually been great. Like, I love Notebook LM and just like using Gemini to make my life easier. But then some of these other tools that I found out about more recently have been pretty awesome. So yeah, we went into this, some clients, some brands that I work on. So just the concept of agentic, to introduce it, these are AI that can execute tasks rather than just respond with an answer. So when we think about Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, those are chat-based Gen AI. They can give you text, they can give you photo, they can give you video. But agentic means that it can go out, you can give it a more vague task and it will go out and execute. So the example I have here is write me an email, and then it's going to write you that email. Whereas an agentic program, you can say, if I was rich, I would say, find me 5 potential students for our AI side hustle course. And an agentic program is going to go search LinkedIn. It's going to qualify those leads based on whatever qualifications I give it. It's going to find their emails, draft personalized messages, and then send those to me for approval. I can also have it go out and fire off those emails, but you got to be careful about that because, again, like I said, financial and reputational risks are very serious. So this clip circulated the internet recently. Uh, I feel like you know what I'm gonna play. Are you getting my audio?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah.
Yes, Richard, I'm aware
Yeah.
the drone dispatching code has been deleted, and I'm working very hard to restore the right version.
Whoa. Open code. You just told me that the ticketing module got deleted.
Ticketing too? Fuck, that's problematic. I'll get on that next.
What the fuck is going on?
Based on the amount of work left to do and the number of hours left before the festival, I decided to task Son of Anton to use machine learning to debug some of our code.
What? Are you fucking kidding me? You gave your AI permission to overwrite code in the internal file system? Were you gonna tell me about this?
No, I thought that was the company policy these days.
Okay, well, your AI just failed.
That's unclear. It's possible that Son of Anton decided that the most efficient way to get rid of all the bugs was to get rid of all the software, which is technically and statistically correct. But artificial neural nets are sort of a black box, so we'll never know for sure.
Hey, Richard, did you order meat? Like a bunch of meat? Like 4,000 pounds of meat?
Interesting. I put Son of Anton on finding us cheap hamburgers for lunch. It looks like the reward function was a little underspecified.
Okay, from now on, Son of Anton is banned. Just write code like a normal human fucking being,
Best
please.
show ever.
Yep.
Yeah, so this was 2019, long before these tools were
Oh,
where they are now. And they already, so we talked about this. This is the shopping assistant. Another thing that I had, so I've worked with Lindy AI. It's honestly pretty sweet. It's got a chat-based UI, which is really nice. You can just ask for what you want and it'll go out and do it. I have an adult animation show that I'm producing right now, and I asked it to go and do market research for me, create an analysis of the competition, what the landscape is, and with a pretty minimal prompt, it made me this 25-page slideshow, hosted it online for me, and it's pretty good. It's not, I'm working with a content strategist right now, so it's interesting to see like what they're delivering versus what this is. The thing is, I don't know. These are completely unvetted numbers. These could be made up, these could be true. I have no way of knowing that. But it looks pretty good. It's got everything that I asked for. It breaks down all of these things. It has strategies, it has statistics of these channels. So it's honestly pretty impressive. And this took minutes, like two. I just said, give me a competitive landscape for adult animation across YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and it just cranked this out. So it's very powerful at doing things like this, things that would take a lot of time to do on your own. You can have an agent do for you in very little time at all. So to that point, I also said, I got to make this presentation. Make me a presentation. And you know what? It did. So I said, what is agentic AI? How do I use it? Blah, blah, blah. And here you are. Like, and again, this took no time at all. So it's the kind of thing where you have this power at your fingertips and it's going to do what you tell it and it's going to assume what you want. So a lot of what it comes down to is you. Like you are the element here that's going to create the difference between the output that you want and a mediocre or terrible output. The same way if I hand a pen and paper to everybody in this room or in this virtual room, we're all going to draw or write something different. Like these things how these tools, what they give you, come down to what you give them. So some pros to agentic, the speed is unmatched. Like you can accomplish things that would take you hours or days in minutes. It's basically like having a team of assistants that you don't have to pay. And they're pretty good at like dynamic decisioning based on whatever data you give them. Again, the concerns or the cons, like any kind of hallucination on the AI's part can go wrong very quickly. There are a lot of security vulnerabilities that you have to really seriously consider. It's a black box, so you don't know what you're getting out of it and you can't really debug it. And it's all going to come down to the quality of the data that you give it. So the best advice that I have for you is that you treat it as an assistant, as an intern, as somebody that you are training, that you have to tell what you want. If you are treating it as a strategist, or as an executive in your company, you're not going to do very well. And then at the end of the day, you are the one accountable. You can't say, "Oh, my AI fucked up. I'm sorry," to your client. Like that's not going to fly. So that's really the most important thing is like this all comes back to you. So the best way to approach this is with radical specificity. The more specific you are, the better, as literal as you can possibly be. So instead of research competitors, say, give me the top three product management courses, tell me what their refund policies are, what their student support claims are, and then output this into a table and give me recommendations on how to improve on the experience. So when I start my competition for Rich, I'll ask the agent what to do. And then the last thing is just giving it as much context as possible, the same way you would do with a new employee. You really just need to give them as much context as you can so that they can use that uh, in order to create the output. And then the most important thing I think with all of these tools, and this actually really goes back to what we started this conversation about, like what are the things that you bring to the table? It's your creativity and your critical thinking. Like I always find it so funny when people are really eager to replace themselves with AI because I'm like, if you're not using your brain, like it's gonna turn to mush. Like whenever you have the thought, oh, I need to think of this thing, and then your next thought is, oh, just AI will do it for me. Like you don't want to replace your own creativity and critical thinking because that's the value that you bring to the table, especially as a product manager or any kind of business owner. Like the example here when I was working, I was hiring for the animation channel, and I posted on job boards looking uh, for a character designer, and I got this application. I'm not going to show you the name, but like we all know what fucking AI slop looks like. The the bolding, like this was directly from the job posting. Like there wasn't any kind of human aspect of it. And these are the illustrations that this illustrator told me that they did. And I'm like, I also have AI. I can just prompt this shit. Like, what am I hiring you for? So I think the really important thing when it comes to these tools is like make sure that you know what your value is that you bring to the table and don't replace that. Everything else, automate, 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 but make sure that you still bring value. And then the last thing I'll wrap this up with, these are three very powerful tools. Lindy is incredibly easy to use, very like text-based. The thing is, the credits add up very quickly. So if you are automating complex tasks, it can get expensive. Zapier is also incredible. You can connect it to all of your apps and create agents that do all kinds of automation. And then the last one that I don't use, but I know some people who do is LangChain. It's an open source program, but you end up paying for your API usage on whatever Gemini or ChatGPT. And it's very complex. So it can do some incredible things, but the learning curve is steep. And that's the presentation. Tried
Cool.
to
Cool.
condense as much as I could.
Got it. Give me a second here. Pull on a few people.
Yeah, and then in the chat, another con is consistency. You won't get the same result twice with the same query and the same model. Yeah, it's a great point. There's definitely a lot of inconsistency.
Ashlyn, questions? Going once, going twice. Please.
Hi guys. I think there's a pretty good like start point for me to understand like the AI agent. But for me, I want to know like what's the stuff for product manager to do about those AI technology in the real job? Because I know like some part of the AI agentic system you need to like work with the engineering to build. So I actually have the question and like um what kind of like knowledge do I have to know to do a better job as AI product manager. Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if I understand. Like, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Just like, because
Yeah,
so to
yeah,
me, like in my day to day, and I'll just like, and then I'll let you expand. Like, all of my product requirement documents, I just brain dump into Gemini and say, print me out a document, and it does. Like all of the like minutia and tasks I have AI do for me. It's the stuff that I can't have it do is like work with my coworkers and my bosses, and deal with all of that shit. But like a lot of the technical aspects can be automated.
yeah. So what I'm saying is like because my goal is to be a AI product manager, and
Hmm.
our goal today is also talking about like AI agentic system. So when
Hmm.
it comes to like AI product, what's the product manager's scope? Like, oh, should we like provide a AI prototype, like agentic system prototype, or like we just write it down like all the requirements and pass it over to the engineering. Yeah.
I could take a stab at that, Ashlyn.
Yeah, go for
And
it, James.
so like looks like Verizon has also bit the Google Gemini train, like they hopped on the
Yep.
Gemini train. So did Apple, right? Um, it's not about like what you need to know. What you have to show is that you have the interest, um, and you're aware of what's happening in the domain in terms of the capabilities, these tools, what tools are better for what, right? How are they being utilized? I could tell you, like Brad's been on this journey, myself as well, over the last 18 months, the acceleration of the capabilities, especially over probably the last 3 to 6, as we're
Yeah.
seeing more of the execution layer come to fruition, right? Um, is just being aware what's happening, like getting your hands dirty, trying multiple tools to accomplish a single task, to understand what certain platforms are better at than others, right?
Yeah.
Um, that's what they're looking for. And if you join an enterprise that's already selected that tool,
Mm.
being aware of what's happening in the ecosystem will give you a pretty darn good idea of what the next feature that Gemini is going to drop is going to look like, right? Like
Mhm.
the second Manus went up, like Claude Cowork came up. Comet added like um browser control. Like everybody is going in generally the same broad direction, which is enhancing capabilities and being able to take more action and executing, versus just text-based prompt responses. And so um, rather than thinking about like what the single skill or tool is that you need to know is, think about like how can you show that you are prepared to move with the times as quickly as it's shifting, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really where I would maybe focus my attention. And I'll but and yeah, feel
Well,
free to
because
add
I
to that,
think
bro.
to that point,
Yeah.
like these tools are so powerful that it comes down to your creativity on how to use them. Like all of us have the same capability with any of these tools, but like what I'm going to do, what is going to do, and what James are going to do are going to be completely different. And the reason you're going to hire one of the three of us is because we're going to figure out the thing that you actually need as the client.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Got this.
There's
Uh,
no silver bullet, Ashlyn. No silver bullet. You gotta put in a little grind, put in the
Well, and I think
time,
it's
work with
it's just
yeah.
like not being intimidated by any of these things. Like all
Right.
of these tools teach you how to use them. Like ask Gemini what the fuck it can do. Be like, yo,
Dude,
Gemini,
like
how do I use you to make my life easier? And it'll come up with a bunch of good answers.
it's hilarious because we just did the Lovable one yesterday. I
Hmm.
did the Lovable webinar. Like half of your slides are identical to mine, right? Like be specific, provide as much context, right?
Yep.
Like try it, ask it the question. Like Lovable, you can literally ask it like, what is your AI integration? And it'll say OpenAI. What is your database integration? It'll say Supabase. Like it literally will answer questions out of its own documentation for you. And so,
You
like, you could
hope.
ask it how to use you as you go,
Yeah.
which is the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Looks like Angela's had her hand up for a little bit.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
very interesting. And
Yep.
also, I also listen to
All
some
right.
of the podcast, and many of the like product manager they will mention like in the future maybe like the product manager will replace the responsibility and the job of software engineering as AI is getting like improving. So I also like curious about if like in some big company like Capital One and Verizon, will some of the like the product manager take over some of the responsibility from software engineering, some development job.
I mean, that's not going to happen soon at enterprise level. Like startup
Not even
level,
close.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Like you and I can both like whip up a prototype pretty quickly, but the level of complexity of the database of Verizon or Capital One, an AI is not doing that.
It's
My
also
my engineers laughed at me. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Angela, cut you off. Yeah, like
no,
man, when I brought AI up, like they laughed at me. But yeah, go ahead,
it's
Angela.
also really limited by your technical expertise. So I've spent the last 3.5 years as an AI consultant. My husband is an AI engineer for the Department of Defense. He uses a agentic AI, and it has written 800,000 lines of code for him in the last 6 months.
Oh
He
my
has
God.
patents for Amazon Alexa. He was part of the Amazon Alexa brain chain. So it wrote 800,000 lines of code for him
Yeah, but he knew.
because he is an expert in the space.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust a product manager with an AI agent to do deployment level code production, period,
Yep.
under any circumstances, unless they have a PhD in computer science and at least 15 years as a technical
Yeah.
product manager.
Well, and again, that
Like,
just speaks to the person behind the tools. Like,
yeah, no,
I got the same piano as a fucking concert pianist. It doesn't mean like
it
I'm a
does not
concert
mean that
pianist.
you're going to debut at the Met
Yeah, I
or
got the
anything
same
like that.
keys.
Um,
Absolutely.
so I have a question about your little agentic your beta that is deployed. What kind of tooling is actually filtering back to your product team to give you metrics on how that's being used? What kind of um, data feed is exposed to you? Are you just reduced down to like heat mapping, or are you actually getting records of the things people are querying and the level of frequency and kind of like, I mean, people are aware that AI is a black box. I really don't like that because it's not. It's stochastic, which means it's always going to give you the answer that has the highest probability.
Mhm.
So it's totally transparent in that. But when you say because why, the answer is always going to be because math. So what kind
I
of
mean,
tooling is actually getting handed to you as a product team, or is the answer none at all?
as very, very little. Like the my like what I've worked with the teams on is I give them my gripes and I say this sucks and like fix this. And then the technical layer of that, like we have people who work on that. So like I can't even really speak to that. Like my expertise is being a grumpy, impatient customer who types something in and then says, this sucks, like I don't like it. And then I explain to them why and I give them my requirements for how to make it better. And then then I hand that off and they do what they do with it. I know that's
Oh,
kind of
that
a cop out
sucks.
answer, but that's
No, no,
that's
no.
what
That is what 8 out of every 10 product teams that
Yeah.
I talk to are saying. And then
yeah.
like 1 out of 10, they're actually, building an agent with a level of transparency that they have some
Mhm.
idea, which is to say that like, they get a percentage on, had a hostile reaction because there's like sediment analysis on the prompt.
Mhm.
And then the other 1% is like, well, we have some heat mapping so we can see if people are actually opening it, which is, I mean, it's data, it's just not great data.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Enterprise is still figuring it out though, Angelo, right? Like, I know at Capital One, like we probably signed a multi-million-dollar Gemini deal. I don't know if you're familiar with like GEMS, but it's like their version of building like small like
Mhm.
repositories of information
Yeah.
to ping your questions, right? Like that feature in and of itself isn't available. Is not
Mhm.
available to the product teams. What they've done is made most of the investments um on the modeling side, right? We
Yeah.
we work with millions of customers across how many thousands of profiles, right? That we have to build algorithms and models around, especially when we're making like really big risk-based decisions on our
Mhm.
portfolio, because card is our biggest business.
Yep.
We've gone from having to take like a 3 to 5 year cycles to build a model to down to 6 months, right?
Yep.
Leveraging it. And so like depending on which domain, depending on where they feel the investment is safest, and you're gonna get the return that you want today based on the capabilities today, right? Like an enterprise cannot risk hallucinations, right? And so
Fabrications. Yeah.
yeah,
And
and
I think
so
that's the biggest thing at
yeah,
the end of the day.
yeah,
Like we just
Uh,
it's going to be so much slower at a large company because they just
well, they
can't
have to be.
risk those things. Yeah, it
They
has
have
to
to be
be.
so cautious.
Yeah.
So, and I just have one more thing, and it's not actually a question. It's just a comment to the guy who asked, how much um, decision making. And I can't speak to enterprise because all of my clients are small to medium size businesses. But what we're seeing on the smaller side of things is total ownership as long as you don't mind getting fired. Nobody high up in the company wants to make expensive, bad commitments for AI. So most of our projects, the outside consultants, are the ones who do all of the product steering, and you can't get anybody to make a decision one way or another because they don't want to be held responsible for the financial loss. They're just too risk adverse on wasting their AI spend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crystal, you have a question? I've been chatting with Crystal since for a minute now. Crystal, what questions do you have for
Hey,
Brad?
can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, here's just
Okay, cool.
fine.
No, I don't have a question so far. Super interesting, but no.
Got it. All right. I'm just gonna jet through these because I got another podcast I actually have to run to. But please schedule a call. There's still spots for the upcoming AI product management cohort that's being hosted by James here, yours truly. And then we also have, I see a good amount of New Yorkers right here. I see a good amount of New Yorkers right here where we're doing a bunch of in-person stuff. Actually, let me call on Rebecca. How are you doing? We
Looks like
missed you.
Shah has their hand up.
yeah.
Oh, I saw Shah. Um, Shah, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, Brad, thanks for taking the time to speak with us. Actually, I just wanted to ask you, I grew up watching Newgrounds, grew up on Toonami, Adult Swim, so Smiling Friends, for example, funny show. It's on Adult Swim right now currently. I was curious, like, what kind of show you're working on?
Yeah, so I've got a show that I'm that's launching hopefully in the next couple months. It's called Breadlums. It's about a world where everyone is made out of bread. It follows Detective Cruller and Detective Mama Bear, who is a bear claw, and all of the other donut cops. And it's kind of got like it's well, so the first season is about uh the son of Sandwich, who has been turning innocent loaves into sandwiches across New Grain City, and it's yeah, it's a very like punny crime dramedy, sort of BoJack Horseman meets Gotham.
Amazing, thank you.
Yep.
Amazing. I had that same question. Thanks for asking, Shah.
Yeah, I will certainly send out all the info when it drops.
All right. Rebecca, how you doing over there?
Hey, Al. Good to be here. Thank you so much for the time today and the coverage on the agentic and what's like in the real world at Verizon in this situation. Really appreciate it, Brad.
Yeah,
And fellow Brooklynite, right? Is that right? Is
Crown
that where
Heights.
you're at? Crown Heights. All right, I'm in PLG, so just around the
Oh,
corner.
nice.
What,
Neighbors.
Chabella's? Is that a favorite?
Oh yeah, of
Oh,
course.
yeah, of course. Yeah. Regulars. Well, thanks again.
Yeah, of course.
Hang on, Rebecca, where are you? You said,
I'm in Prospect Lefferts Gardens, so it's like south of Crown Heights, kind of by the park there still.
Richard's still new to
To
renewed
Brooklyn.
back in New York, so he
well,
hasn't
I
gone all
lived
the way
in
He's
Park.
south of
he's
like
got
You
Long
know, I
Island
Williamsburg.
lived in
City and
Park
Midtown
Slope.
covered.
You know, I live. Dude, don't even drop the bougie card on me. You know, I lived in Park Slope. We hung out in
Oh yeah, I
Park
forgot
Slope.
about that. My
Remember?
bad. My bad.
That
My
was
bad.
when
Didn't need to call you out like
Yeah,
that,
not
Rich.
too far from Park Slope. Yeah, but you're
that
not
was
you. Yeah.
Yo, gee, that's the nicer part of the year. It doesn't like doesn't Jay-Z and Beyonce have a house down there or something like that?
I don't know. I think it used to be like all Flatbush and they like, carve out new names and things.
Yep.
So now it's PLG, but it's near the park and that was the
Oh,
goal.
oh my gosh, Brooklyn, Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Oh, Brooklyn. Remember this guy asked me the first time I felt like a New Yorker was coming out of the train Times Square. He's like, "Can you sign this petition, please, sir? Do you live in Queens, Brooklyn?"
Mhm.
I just felt so New York. Got it. Okay, there's a few questions I'm just gonna jet through quickly here because I got another guy waiting. But uh, let me see here. Tarun, how do you decide what should be handled by an AI agent versus routed to an actual employee? I guess like FAFO. Like, sometimes even like the ideas that we've been working a lot with AI agents actually here internally on our team. And for those of you guys that are in the program, sometimes you guys can clearly see it's not exactly working out for us. But we try. But these tools, like James and Brad said, James recently hosted the Manish training, which I recommend everybody to watch because he blew mad cash of his own money to go out there and actually prove out some hypothesis here is these tools are extremely powerful and they're only getting better. So whatever limitations that you don't feel that they have currently right now, um, in the span of like in less than one quarter, they will go ahead and address it. So there's
I
that.
think the answer to that Tarun's question though is like that's what you're expected to know,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
that's the role, right? Like that's what the role is gonna become more and more. And so Tarun, like you should have confidence in your stance there, right? Like I have used this for XYZ and I learned ABC. So I am definitely not going to do it for C, right? Until I see it accomplish or like exceed a certain threshold of performance, right? And so doing like the short answer is like that's the question that you should be confident in answering yourself, or at the very least posing as you are confident to answer that question. Hopefully that answers your question.
got it. Okay, and then we got Sweta. Is Gemini a part of the tools powered by Verizon for work efficiency? Are there security level contracts between Verizon and Gemini so data security can be ensured? I'll just let you guys know
Course.
this right
Yeah.
now. Like data security actually cannot be insured. Recently, Grok just signed a contract with the Department of War, where our secretary, the Department of War, our secretary is like, we are finally going to be implementing Grok on both he said classified and also unclassified military networks. Oh man.
I mean, for this one, we have, yes, it is a part of the tools provided, and then there are I mean, a part of it, it says like none of this proprietary information is being used to train Gemini. It
Yeah.
says that in a disclaimer. That's
Yeah.
that's as much as I can tell you.
Yeah. There are data share agreements on every single domain, every single repo that that technology can possibly touch. And
Mhm.
so, yes, there are and I know Verizon is in the telco space, also heavily regulated, but not as much as banking. At Capital One, I could tell you there are probably dozens, if not hundreds, of different data share agreements across the different domains and like bound like yeah, areas of the
Well,
organization. So.
but that's also why we're allowed to use Gemini and not like I can't just like sign into ChatGPT on my
Yep.
work computer. That shit is
Exactly.
blocked because they don't have an
100%.
agreement. And so whatever I put in there is just fair game for ChatGPT to do whatever they want with.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. If anybody hasn't actually watched this show too, called it was actually pretty decent on the plane ride over from LA to New York, but super pumped. The battle for Uber. Like,
Ooh.
yeah, this was wildly entertaining. I didn't really know a lot about the Uber CEO, which is Travis
Travi.
Kalanick.
Mr. Travi.
Got total pure savage, right?
He's a New
Like,
Yorker.
yeah, Uber was collecting data off of your phone. It was like a rideshare app, and it was aggregating all kinds of stuff. They actually got caught by Apple, but I'll let you guys watch the show to find out how he navigated his way out of that with Tim Cook. Having said that, though, the gold mine, I mean, the job market right now, as you guys could clearly see, like I actually have another testimonial for the AWS product manager right after this, but it's red hot. Let's go ahead and get after it. Brad, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys.
James, thank you so much for yours as well.
James, I'm about to watch this Manus AI agent for job applications. This looks
Yeah,
cool.
Ooh,
feel free to ping me after. I'm gonna link
All
with
right, yeah.
Amr on like
yeah, yeah,
enhancing it
yeah.
too. So yeah.
And then for my fellow New Yorkers out there, Ashlyn, Prob, Rebecca, actually, whoever else is in this wonderful city we call home. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot more in-person stuff that's happening here that we're also gonna be live streaming. Let's just this everybody stay warm this week. Apparently, New York is colder than Alaska, and I feel it. All right,
Stay warm,
Brad.
folks.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll go out there and ping you guys right afterwards, and then some of our guests I'll be following up with y'all afterwards too. Thank you. Bye.
All right, thanks so much, guys. See ya.